We are Cop Connect, a group of lifelong Reds with one vision: to connect Liverpool fans everywhere through a spirit of friendship and togetherness, to build the world's most diverse, most inclusive Liverpool fan group. Join our growing community on our Cop Connect Facebook group, on Twitter and Instagram, and our website copconnect.com. Cop Connect, the ultimate Liverpool fan experience, brought to you by Liverpool fans, for Liverpool fans. Copconnect.com.
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. It's a very good morning for me because it's 6 a.m. here and 11 a.m. back home in Liverpool. I've got Steve with me, and today's special guest is Labour Member of Parliament, Ian Byrne from Liverpool West Derby. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, like I said, a bit tired, but you know... crack of dawn for me and Steve, but you know what they say, you know, early bird catches the worm, something like that.
Absolutely, something like that. It's out the way then. You got the day ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly, and be in bed by 8, not 8 a.m. but 8 p.m. after we win today. So
after the match,
yeah. So I know Steve's going to kick this off today.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's an honor to speak to somebody that's in providing service for the government, for the city of Liverpool. So we're very interested about the show today. So as we normally do on our shows, we like to find out how our guests first came to Liverpool, how they fell in love with the team, and then also if they can reminisce about their first time they ever went to Anfield and tell us about those experiences. So can you let us know how you came to this team?
Yeah. Well, I was born in the city. Me dad and my whole family were Reds. I don't think there's a blue in the family. I haven't thought about that. I don't think there's one, actually.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So it was sort of, growing up on a council house in the estate in Liverpool, West Derby, a place called Council Farm, and it was just football mad. And my dad was obviously a fanatical Liverpool supporter, so he'd go every game home and away. So it's just part of your life. And as you're growing up, and one of my bad memories is where we used to live in Council Farm, and it used to have a little council house, and the road opposite. There was like a row of flats, and David Fairclough used to have a girlfriend there, and the bad memory is David Fairclough pulling up in a fur coat, getting out of a capri, and all the kids running around, and it was like I'll never forget it. Just the amazing memory of seeing like Fairclough. So I've always been starstruck, but also obviously loved the football team. So myself, my first game was actually in the Anfield Road end when it was like the Cop, or what the Cop used to be when it was terracing. I think it was about 4 or 5 when my dad took me, about 5 years of age, and that was my first game. I think it was against Leicester City. If I recall, and I can't recall, obviously not about the game, but just the noise. I'll never forget the noise. I'll never forget the atmosphere. And it's something which, obviously, you've just grown into and you just become to love. And the football club's just become an absolutely huge part of my life. And, and I passed that on to my boys and my daughter, who were all fanatical Liverpool fans. And it does help living 4 streets away from the football ground as well. So it's an integral part of my life. And for all the ups and downs it's give you, and some of the great moments, and some of the best moments in my life, and some of the worst moments in my life. So it's certainly being a football fan connected to Liverpool Football Club certainly gives you some experiences, that's for sure. And certainly has in my life. So working that out, my first game was 5 and 48 now, so 42 years, 42 years fanatical Liverpool fan.
You know, it doesn't surprise me, your story about David Faircloth. I've had the luxury of meeting him a couple of times, and he's always impeccably dressed. But next time I see him, I'm going to ask him about that fur coat.
Ask him about the fur coat. Yeah, be worth a lot of money now. It'll be a collector's item, I'm sure. But he pulled it off. He pulled it off.
Yeah, he could. I couldn't see Stevie Nickel wearing it, but I could see David Faircloth.
Did he have the fur hat as well?
No, not that I can recall. No, he probably had fairy dice in his capri, but no. So yeah, it's funny how things stick in your mind because it was a massive thing. You know, all the kids would run around and we'd all, you know, because he was a hero. You know, it's 75, so 77, 78. So obviously you had the Saint Etienne game, and you know he was super sub, wasn't he? So yeah, he was good memory.
Was his nickname Super Sub at that time, or that came after later, right?
I think, well, yeah, you probably have someone a bit learned than maybe get Peter Hooton on. Peter Hooton's unbelievable for facts and figures. Yeah, it must have been around that game because that's what he was, wasn't he? You know, a bit like Solskjaer, really, wasn't he? You know, he was just a fantastic substitute.
Yeah, we had Peter Hooton on, but that wasn't one of we had. You know, Peter could talk, and so that wasn't one of the questions we ever got to. Daza?
From West Derby. So, yeah, some little known facts, if the listeners don't know, it is historically part of Lancashire, right? Which is a weird one as well. And also, I looked it up as well because I'm from Formby, but I looked it up, and the Norse word for West Derby is let me see, place of the wild beasts. That's got to be something.
There you go. I couldn't possibly comment, but I'll tell you what, for the American listeners, it's home of the Casbah. So it was one of the first places the Beatles played, and it's still in existence. And you can go in and you can get taken around there by the owners. And it was Pete Best that played there. So it's a fascinating place, and to see him where the Beatles actually started. And tiny arena, and not an arena, it's just like a homemade stage, but a fascinating piece of history. And from there, they went on to greatness.
Yeah, they were a house band back then, right? Quarrymen.
Yeah, but it's a fascinating tale when he tells about the mother bringing them in, and then half of Liverpool queuing around the block to get in to see them. And then it was becoming too dangerous because we were putting that many people in, obviously trying to make as much money as they could. And but it was a fascinating place to see it because it's a living piece of history. And obviously, we're guilty of knocking history down at times. Obviously, we lost the Cavern and we've got a replacement, but it's not the Cavern. So this is a real piece of history, which I'm extremely proud to have in West Derby. And moving forward, I hope we can do much more with that as well to publicise it and put it on the map.
And isn't there a stockade still there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. I don't want to say too much about that because I think there's certain individuals that want to put me in it. So I'm keeping that quiet if I'm honest. But yeah, we were there. You were there yesterday with the food bank, just where it was. Yeah. So there is a stockade. Yeah,
lots of fruit and veg next to it. West Derby's also, for the listeners, has Alder Hay Children's Hospital as well as Melwood as well, and a certain young football player comes from there, Trent Alexander-Arnold. So now I want to talk, Ian, about how in the hell did you get into politics?
It's a good question, really. Yeah, it's. I was never nothing. It was never nothing that I wanted. Nothing I had any intention of doing, to be honest. And about 4 years ago, I was working for a trade union. I was a trade union organizer, going into factories, building the union density up, and encouraging union people to join a trade union, which all your listeners should do. Always be a member of a trade union and get involved. in trade unionism. And then Dan Carden, who's the neighbouring MP for Liverpool Walton, just got in touch and asked me to do some volunteering for them on top of my job, and which he did do, because Dan was getting elected in 2017 and he had principles which I believed in. So I worked alongside Dan, and then he asked me to stay on. So I stayed on. And then in 2019, the previous MP, Stephen Twigg, decided he was stepping down and going to do other things. So I was put forward and asked, and rather reluctantly, because I wasn't sure it was what I wanted to do. And I always go on the premise that, what are you here for? You're here to try and look after your community and look after the people in your community, and what gives you the best opportunity to do that. And I sort of sold myself on it that way. And obviously was a massive believer in the 2017-2019 Labour Party manifestos and Jeremy Corbyn. So yeah, it was I stood in 2019 general election, and from that we won and then was elected to Parliament. So it's been quite a roller coaster, to be honest. Obviously, from an English perspective or British perspective, obviously we've had Brexit, and then we've gone into COVID. So it hasn't been a normal 11 months for the Member of Parliament, but try to do as much as we can to help people out, because much like over your side of the Atlantic, it's grim. It's grim times for many people in our community. So yeah, it's been a baptism of fire, but I've got to say, I love representing the people of West Derby, and I love representing the people of Liverpool as well.
So we don't want to get too political, but what's your take on the government and what they've done to the Northwest?
But you're asking me not to get too political.
Well, yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to get a bit political. Well, I think it's been shambolic, to be honest. I think the government's handling of it's been disastrous. I think they've made so many wrong strategic decisions which have eventually cost lives, and have made the situation worse for many people. But to acknowledge they've done some good things. The furlough scheme was a good thing, but actually the outsourcing of major services like the track and trace system has been utterly disastrous, and they haven't listened from people on the ground. It's very much centralised, coming from Westminster into communities, and we've seen obviously with different regions getting treated differently, and it just hasn't been a joined up, cohesive approach of what you needed was solidarity, because we had solidarity the first couple of months. We had people working together, fantastic schemes, everyone was pulling in the same direction, and they lost that. And it's not an easy task. All governments across the world are facing difficulties, we can see, but some are handling it much better than others. And from our perspective, we just think, we look at what Trump's doing in America, what he's doing in America, and I'm looking at what Johnson's done in the UK, and it's been pretty disastrous, if I'm honest. And it would have been so different, in my humble opinion, if we would have had someone like Jeremy Corbyn leading the government. He wouldn't have made the decisions what he's making now. And even this morning, we wake up to potentially a national lockdown, which is leaked through the papers. So there's been no decision, but businesses are finding out as they wake up this morning. Employers, everyone's just waking up to the news that potentially we're in another lockdown. And, you should not learn from the papers. We should be briefed. Everyone should have a say, and we should be able to bring people along with us. But at the moment, that's not happening.
Hey, Ian, I have a question for you, because, a lot of times through these type of situations, do come out of it. And one of the things that I've seen here in the United States, especially in Texas, is that the activism at the youth level, or the younger voters, has exponentially grown here in the last few months. I mean, our rate of young voters is up 600% than it was at this time last time at the election. So can you kind of get any indication that may be happening there in Liverpool, that you're going to get some of the younger demographics getting involved in the politics?
Well, yeah, I think that was one of the successes of of Corbyn, and also you look at Bernie Sanders as well. They reinvigorated the youth vote, didn't he? And the younger vote seen discussions on matters that they favoured and believed in. You look at Extinction Rebellion over here. You look at the climate issues, massive across the world, isn't it? And I think that sort of engagement and energy that's been brilliant over here. And I've been watching America with interest, to be honest. I spoke about it last week on a podcast about seeing right across the states the youth vote's got massively up, isn't it? Which hopefully will lead to a decision, to an election result, which we all desperately need. But what I will say is, people, the youngsters want a vision. Obviously it's their future. And what we're seeing now, and certainly in this side of the pond, over the last 40 years, we've seen, terms and conditions are ordered. We've seen the rise of 0-hour contracts. We've seen, the gig economy. And what COVID's shown is that them type of jobs are so insecure, and they leave people completely adrift. And then obviously the welfare system in this country's got to try and, help them up. The American situation's pretty similar, and we can't go back to that. We've got to learn lessons about what this pandemic's shown from us. All them people have died, and there's been massive struggle, and there's been so much hardship. Well, surely the lessons have got to be learned from that, and we've got to build a society which works for us all, not just the 1%. And people have got to have it, and the youngsters again have got to have this vision. So, if Biden does come along on the back of the youth vote, but then he's got to look forward and make sure that then people have got a vision. And it's exactly the same in this country. Politicians today have got to paint a vision for the future as well.
Yeah, it just seems like, especially here as well and there, it's just them and us. There's a massive divide between the rich and then the middle class. The middle class seems to be getting poorer. But yeah, I mean the big ones. In a couple of days, so we probably won't know the results, for at least another week after that. But I know me and Steve are hoping, for the best. And same back home, my sister, who's a nurse, just telling me about all the hardships and stuff. And a lot of the young kids though don't seem to be taking this pandemic seriously. I think that's an issue as well,
Yeah. I think that is it. No, that is an issue. Obviously, it's about messaging, isn't it? It's about educating, and just saying that you might not have the symptoms, but you can pass it on, and because it's ruthless. Once you get to a certain age, it's utterly ruthless. Like our mayor Joe Anderson, his brother got it within 8 hours. He was dead. And Joe never had the opportunity to speak to him, and that's right across the board, across the country. So many people, once they go into it, you can't obviously see them, and it's been heartbreaking attending some funerals, and there can be no physical contact. You can't, obviously, I'm sure it was like that over here, over there, but over here, a funeral was a time where you come back, you'd have a laugh, wouldn't you? You'd heal, it'd be a start of the healing process, and. I've had some great, good friends who've lost wives, and we couldn't go back, and you're just getting in the car and driving away in isolation, and it's been for many people across the country that have done that and lost loved ones. It's been extremely difficult. So that's what the pandemic's done. But for the political handling, it's just been it's been shocking. And what you just said, spot on. We need a society which we got to end the divisiveness. You've got to bring people together. And make people realise that there's no difference except sometimes what you can see with your eyes, and this is the message what we've always tried to promote in Liverpool, fans supporting Foodbanks, and that's something which we're keen to do. But obviously Johnson and Trump have got a different agenda, and it is very, very, very divisive, and it's shown that moving forward, as I said before about the political settlement from COVID and the economic settlements, but that the political settlements and how we move together as communities, we've got to change the narrative, and we've got to realise that we're all equally susceptible to a virus that we can't see. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what background, what culture you're from. This virus is being a real leveler, and hopefully it makes people wise up to what we actually are facing in the country.
Ian, you mentioned about the community coming together, and then you've referenced the food banks. That's one of the things that we'd like to learn more about, the fan servant food banks, and I believe it started in 2015, and you helped start that initiative. Can you kind of go back and tell us some of the history and why that came about, and just share some of the successes that it has right now?
Yeah. So fan supporting food banks come about because what we've done in the country as fan groups, we've worked quite closely on a thing called 20's Plenty, which was basically away tickets were just going out of the price range of the ordinary working class fan. So we said, without the away fans, the atmosphere is lessened. So we run a campaign with clubs right across the country, and we ended up with quite a substantial victory with the Premier League by getting tickets capped at £30. And we obviously, as a trade unionist, I know the power of the collective, and obviously we were impressing that on football supporters. So we come off the back of that, working quite closely with Everton, Liverpool. I was with the Spirits of Shankly, and Dave Kelly was with the Blue Union. And then we got working together for Unite, the trade union in the UK. And what happened was basically we'd gone to a community centre, which is a stone's throw from my house in Anfield. And there was a queue of people outside. So this was in 2015. So there was a queue of people outside, and me. We were meeting a community leader in there, and I thought it was a queue for the bingo. I thought you'd have like an afternoon session of bingo. And then the community leader said to me, she said, no. She said, the queuing for the food bank. So look, we knew about the food banks and you'd seen it, and but like everything in life, your own life sort of like takes over, and you look after your kids, you're doing everything what you need to do. But you can see the poverty. But when it hits you like that, I think when you sit there and you see people, of all denominations, or sexes, all the culture of Anfield just like walking in front of you. And shuffling in to get a bag of food, and then as she said, "Would you like to come into the back and see how they prepare the food?" So we went into the back, me and Dave, into like where they had they were storing the food, and because it was a community food bank, it was run on donations from the community, and the community was under attack. That's why people were using food banks. So there wasn't much there, and and a bad memory, and I often speak about it, was that they had a big bag of pasta. And they were putting it into little sweet bags and then putting it into a bag. And people would just getting given what they were given. And I just found it heartbreaking. People that, a lot of, had worked all their lives, and ended up in this position. But it was really graphic. So we went home that night and I couldn't sleep. And why I talked about the ticket campaign before was, I thought, me and Dave had a conversation. We said, we work collaboratively on this. Let's do it on this idea. And the idea was simple. Basically, we were going to pull up outside Goodison and Anfield with a wheelie bin, which is like, I don't know if you've got them in America, just like a bin on wheels. And we'd start food donations. And the idea was, obviously, we've got 60,000 at Anfield, and they've got 40,000 at Goodison. Every week, because obviously the grounds are so tight together, I think it's only a mile apart. We could have it every week, a collection, and the idea would be that the football fans that donated would fill the shelves in the communities across the north of Liverpool. And, and I think from there now, I think we always say, food banks should not be in existence right now. The sixth richest country in the world should look after its people. But the government today is not. And has not for the last 10 years. We've had austerity over here, and it's left people high and dry. So that's how it started. And the first game, I think, was United 5 years ago. We went to Goodison, and be honest, we got more chip wrappers and pies threw into the bin more than food. But once we delved past all the chip wrappers and pies, we had a donation. So we said, okay, no, that worked. So it just grew, and then I was on the Liverpool supporters committee, so I had an in with Liverpool to speak to the fantastic Susan Black, who's communications director, and she's been brilliant, and Liverpool Football Club, and then I met an amazing man called Forbes who works with Red Neighbours and his team. So they started working with us. We worked with Everton. Everton were brilliant with Everton community. So we worked with the clubs, and previously the clubs might have seen us as antagonists, someone who was a pain in the backside for them, if we're honest, because we've always fought against ticket prices. But we said to them, this is happening in our communities. Your football grounds in our communities. You're part of our community. Come along. So we've just built the relationships with the community, built relationships with the football clubs, and some of our proudest achievements and what we've done with other supporter groups as well across the country. So we were the first Liverpool Football Club, Spirit of Shankly, were the first fan group to go to Manchester United food bank, because they started the food bank. So it spread the food bank idea across the country, and we've got Newcastle, Man United, Man City, Villa, Leeds, West Ham, to name a few, just hundreds doing it. And what Liverpool fans have done, and what Everton fans have done, and what we've all started doing was, if it's a food bank for the away match, you take a donation of food. So changing the perception that football fans are this drunken mob which come into your town and are there for destruction. Well, we've turned that on the head, if I'm honest, and we've tried to anyway. Certainly, a degree of people now look at football fans as someone that actually do good in the community. So that's one of our proudest achievements. But I think just before lockdown, we were probably contributing 35%, 40% of all foods going into Liverpool food banks. So that comes from the football fans. Mm-hmm. So the football fans on a match day were contributing to the food bank. But also we educate people on why we don't need food banks, why they're abhorrent, what are the reasons for food banks. So it's, you know yourselves, football is gives you such an opportunity, to get into communities, mm-hmm. to get into different religious groups, to get, and to use the power of the collective and collaboration and solidarity. And we're extremely proud of some of the work we've done. And I'll just start summing up. I'll just say, one of our proudest moments was obviously we've been working with the Muslim community really after the first year, and they were doing collections, and we were just trying to encourage the Muslim community to get involved in the football, because there are many brilliant supporters. But then most Salah signs, and it changes. So what we did was Egypt were playing in the World Cup, and we put a show on in the mosque. So we put a live screen on the mosque. We got all the community together. So many people who hadn't probably stepped foot in the mosque, and maybe some of the preconceptions around the Muslim religion and the mosques were broken down that night, because we served food, we watched football together, we sung Mo Salah together, and it was just a wonderful event. And that's what we could actually do, using football as a hugely positive tool, and it grows and grows. And yesterday was a really proud moment, because if people who are watching this follow Fan Supporting Foodbanks on social media, and encourage you to do so on Twitter. We had our first mobile food pantry yesterday, which is a fantastic evolvement from a wheelie bin 5 years ago to a mobile food pantry.
Yeah, we saw the picture that Peter Moore posted on Twitter on his social media. So I was very happy. He's such an activist too and supporter of the food bank. So it was nice to see him posting pictures and seeing the mobile. I wanted the mobile, version of your initiative. So I want to just kind of add that, we had Joe Blott on from Spirit of Shankly, and I know that that's one of his proudest things, is that how active they are in the food banks and providing that kind of service to the community. But also, as you mentioned, it's grown into other clubs, but it's also grown to the supporters clubs, because being president of the supporters clubs here, the food bank is our main charity here in Austin. So you can kind of see how that initiative that started there has grown to this, to different clubs in England, but also to the supporters clubs all around the world. It's just not ours. A lot of them use the food bank as their main charity.
No, well, I mean, you wouldn't. You probably can't put into words how proud that makes me feel, and I'm sure Dave and Robbie and Gary, but the whole team, I feel exactly the same, because we are extremely proud when we see what happens in America. And Peter Moores and Debbie have been phenomenal supporters of what we've done. They've bought into it. They've been just fantastic. So they're like presidents, both of them now, both Debbie and Peter. And once Peter does return back over to the USA, I'm sure he's going to be doing work over there. But I think about, and we watch what happens in Texas, and also in New York seems to be quite popular. But I think the Derby, I know we don't want to talk about the Derby, but the Derby, we had New York, Everton fans in New York and Everton and Liverpool come together with a big collection and donation. So, the international support is just phenomenal. We've got, yesterday we got a donation from Japan, which came in yesterday. The Norwegian football supporters, the Reds there, are just phenomenal. I mean, they just raised £20,000. We get the German Reds. We've had a lad from Denmark who organised a collection in his community, and that was over £2,000-3,000. So, but I mean, that comes to us. But what we want to do, and what we want to encourage football fans to do, is collect and put into your own communities, because there'll be many communities need this sort of thing. And it, as I said to you before, it just gives such a positive demonstration of what a football fan is, who cares deeply about their own community as well as the football club. So, it's been one of the really massive plus points. And obviously you may talk about the pay-per-view in the show, and that this has been a huge part of building up that movement as well.
One of the I saw a tweet.
And also, just before, if you want us to speak to the food banks in Austin via Zoom, if there's anything that you wanted to do like that, or anyone wants us to engage with them and talk about what we've done, and how we can cross-subsidise ideas. I'm sure you've got some great ideas which we haven't thought of. I think that's what we need to be doing. We need to be speaking and other ideas flow from it. So I think that sort of collaboration between football fans across the board would just be a great thing.
Yeah, that'd be something that we can definitely set up here in the future. And I know that through the supporters club, Jane and Sophie there, they tried to, integrate as many of the supporters clubs into doing these initiatives and supporting, the Liverpool Foundation and the food banks as well. So I recently saw a tweet that you put out about, obviously Marcus Rashford's been in the news quite a bit, for his efforts. And we go back to talk about how young people could be active, and here's this young lad that, crossing, the lines of supporters, to really bring this initiative to everyone, no matter what club you're supporting or what city you're from. And he seems to have really brought a lot of the people together, for this. And then, like I said, I saw that you tweeted your support of him and what his endeavors have been.
Oh, he's been magnificent. Because there's a lad that comes from a community, working class community. He's lived through food poverty. With the free school meals, and he speaks with such elegance, but also he resonates because he's honest. And with the campaign what he's run's has been magnificent, to be honest. And it's a real pleasure to watch. And I stood up in Parliament the other week and I said, potentially you've now got a Manchester United striker whose name could quite easily be sung on the Cop and the Gladys Street, and I'm not messing. That's the impact he's had, and it builds on what I've been talking about with us with the football, bringing the fans together. We've got Manchester United, Manchester City fans working together with Liverpool. Manchester United food bank operator was at Liverpool yesterday, so he was at the food pantry launch, and it's making people realise, we're so similar, we're from the same background, just because we follow a different support team to support a different team. There's far more that unites us than divides us. So I think this narrative, and Rashford's been instrumental, and he's cut right through, and obviously he's caused political storms, and fair play to him. And what he's doing there is something that we're doing. Obviously, we're looking at the right to food and pushing that in Parliament, and with Marcus's help and putting it on the agenda, we may get there someday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just blows my mind. Again, the government not helping these kids, because no kid should go hungry at all, and no family should go hungry. I mean, this is even before the pandemic. A lot of people need help. With food banks. Same over there. It's a sad situation. I wish the government would do a lot more for it, but people like Marcus Rashford kind of helps the movement along. Being famous and just going, look, this needs to stop. And going on to the pay-per-view crap as well. Fans just saying no, like you're already greedy enough. But then taking their hard-earned money and putting it into the food banks, that's got to make you proud as well.
Yeah, it really has, and you like what you're saying. It's symptomatic of how society's gone. Where we've got food banks, which, as I say, it's a stain on society. If I'm honest, it just shouldn't be in existence. I shouldn't be here talking to you about food banks, but we do, and what we're trying to do is, incorporate the right to food into law. So pernicious policies which have caused the huge rise in food bank usage and poverty. And certainly over there, we've got something called universal credit. And if you go onto that, if you lose your job and you go onto universal credit, it's a 5-week wait before you get any funds. So you can only imagine, you've lost your job. You might have got a pittance of settlements. Then you've got to wait 5 weeks, for any sort of income. So what are you supposed to do as a family? Now, our hope is that once we push for the right to food into legislation, well, then anything which impinges on a person's right to have food and dignity, then will be outlawed. So that's what we're hoping we're going to be pushing for, to be honest, as. So that's a huge part of what I'm going to be doing in Parliament. Moving forward, and I know the government today has got a moral duty to look after kids, like you're saying, but unfortunately, as we've seen last week in the vote in Parliament, they fail at that moral duty. So it's got to be in law. We can't rely on people or governments. We can't rely on them to do the right thing. So unfortunately, that's what we're pushing for. So everything you'll see us put out has got hashtag right to food on, and we're creating a real momentum now around it, and it's. Hopefully, I say it's going to be a huge focus of mine over the next 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
Ian, one of our listeners, and you may know him, Frank Carlisle, has a radio show there in Liverpool. He wanted me to ask you that, and you kind of touched upon it, because of the world standing of the UK, and he was wondering why are kids living below the poverty line, and who is responsible for that being the situation? Is it the voters? Is it the Parliament? Just the mindset of surrounding governments, or?
I mean, that's a deep question, isn't it? But for me, we've got massive structural imbalances, which hopefully the right to food can would help to address, but also economically. And as I said to you before, about 0-hour contracts, jobs with no security. You see, it's come from America, that sort of idea, and how it's landed in the UK. And what we're seeing is just massive, blue chip firms starting to fire and rehire on lesser terms, and it's just, the economic models, the model of the world has got to change, and it's got to change. So it's not just focused on the 1%; it's focused on the 99%. The people that actually earn the wealth. For these people and actually treated right. Now, I know we can talk all day about Amazon, some of the absolutely outrageous conditions they work. Many more. I've heard stories about Walmart, and over here we've got Sports Direct. So this is a culture, and that culture's got to change. So that's why it was such a grievous blow that we didn't get a Jeremy Corbyn-led Labour government in, because he was going to do that. He was going to start changing this, and that's why he was such a threat to certain individuals, and that's why obviously what happened. So yeah, we've just got to keep going, and the post-COVID settlements, which has got to be for everyone. That's what we've got to be aiming for. I'm a massive socialist. Now, I know in America that seems to scare people if you say you're a socialist, but for me, as a world, we'd be in a far better place than what we're experiencing now. And I put that down to what we're seeing now is capitalism in its worst form.
Yeah, I mean, that's having a Russian degree. I tried to have to explain to people what socialism is, here, because they really have a negative connotation to it. But, hopefully by this time next week, we'll have a more positive outlook in America, and, hopefully it reaches across the pond to you guys too. So
no, let's hope so. But it's time to explain socialism to people. But what you're doing with the food banks as well, I'd say that was an element of socialism. It's looking after each other. It's communities coming together and having each other's back and looking after each other. So people can frame it in different ways to get where they need to go. But for me, on the ground, examples of true socialism. We look at what we're doing in Fancy Water Food Banks. For me, that's socialism in action, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to point people to initiatives that are helping the communities, that can actually work, and say, well, that's what it is. So don't be scared by it. Take the word away. Call it what you want. No, call it what you want. But for me, it's about making sure that you look after each other, you respect each other, and build a better world for all of us, and not just, as I say, and I'll keep saying it, there's certain individuals that do really well out of this situation. Yeah,
we'll have to continue to educate people one person at a time. That's for sure. So as all interesting conversations, and one that we can talk hours upon, because it's so interesting to Daz and I, and having perspectives from here and also the perspectives over there in the UK. So let's transition to football for a little bit. And we're obviously going through this last 2 years have been such a great positive atmosphere for the club and the city, and winning trophies. So kind of share your experiences that you had, finally winning the title, winning the Champions League again after so many years.
Yeah, I mean, it's like bittersweet, isn't it? Obviously because of the situation we're in, and as I outlined before, I've been a Liverpool fan for a long time, and it's holy grail, the winning the league again, and since Jurgen's come in and what he's done has just been nothing short of phenomenal. And to be fair, we can always have our grievance with FSG, but FSG have run the club well, and done what they've done to get to where they are, and obviously bringing Jurgen in as a master stroke, and what he's done over the last few years. I mean, he's given us some fantastic nights, and and some of my best nights. I've had some great nights watching Liverpool over the years, but watching this team evolve into potentially the greatest team I've ever seen in as a Liverpool supporter has been an absolute joy to behold. And just him as well, just how he handles himself and how genuine he is. I've done a couple of Zoom calls with him, and he's just such a decent fella that actually wants to know more about what you're doing in the community and cares. So it's just been a joy. And one of my greatest moments was going to Madrid and seeing him, but taking my two sons with me. And we didn't have tickets because I could have got a ticket, but I couldn't got them tickets. They were just impossible to get. So we went over to Madrid, and we went to the square and Jamie Webster and all the and it was then we went and watched the game in the bar by the Bernabeu, and it was just a brilliant time for them, because they to go to the Liverpool away game, Liverpool final, which is you'll always treasure, and I just wanted to take them to experience it, because you never know if you're going to get that again. So it's been just to watch him. But when we, I mean, we start the season this season and we're just flying at me. And it's joy to watch, and you're thinking, when are we going to win this? So you're counting down in your calendar. In January, we're looking, thinking, we're going to win it. Hopefully, fingers crossed by then. And we're thinking about how the city's going to just, the roof's going to come off the city. And then obviously we had COVID. And then we go into the uncertain times we did. And then, we start, the Project Restart comes along, and we, it was soul destroying watching the games, without any fans. And, it's great to watch it. And it just left a real bittersweet taste. So, but when we won it, though, as I say, I only live a couple of roads from Anfield, so obviously the area was alive, and it was just strange, because you wanted nothing more than to be at the game with all your friends and your family, because we all sit together in the Kop and just see all your match friends and just be, because that was what we've waited for 30 years, and that was denied us. I cast my mind, but I think once we get back in the ground eventually, once we come out of this period in our history, we can all go back and watch football and watch spectator events and just return to some normality. I think we'll appreciate football, and what it means to you, and what it means to the community, because it's been a big loss to Liverpool and around this area as a community. This place comes alive on a match day. And I missed that. And now today, again, I've just took the dog for a walk. It's all cordoned off. I walked by Anfield, but there's no friction of excitement. We'd have the food bank, everything would be ready, it'd be all geared up, and as I say, the place would be buzzing. But we've lost that. So yeah, it's strange. It's strange. And I know Jurgen Klopp said about the fans and that. It's just, I know what you think over there, but obviously because you're watching in America anyway. It's but not going the game, as I say, and just seeing the games. To be honest, I can't watch the game. I lose interest without the fans, and normally I'd watch any football, put anything on, but I'm struggling to watch any games other than even the Liverpool games now. When they're on, I'll just drift away, because it just feels like a training game sometimes. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
it's been bittersweet, shall I say, to some of them.
Well, hopefully, when fans do come back, the clubs will really realise, how much the fans, I think that's at least a positive. But what are some of your favourite matches you've been to?
God, yeah, it's a question and a half, isn't it? The 86 Cup final always stands out, beating Everton, and it was my birthday as well. So I'll never forget that as a kid, and coming back on the bus, and the bus was split red and blue, and it was and going down and coming back was a great day. 86, 89 after Hillsborough, that was the final. That was for many moments. That was just a strange game. But I was with my mate who was at Hillsborough with, and that was. They'll stand out in my mind for many different reasons. I loved the Ulier treble. We went to all them games. We went to Cardiff. Was just a fantastic place to go. I loved Cardiff for the final. It was just, for a football supporter, you could have a drink. It was right in the middle of the city centre. The stadium was just awesome. The atmosphere. I just loved every minute of that. But, I'll always say, the greatest game I've ever been was Istanbul. It was just the greatest game I've ever been. And just to tail on that, so we were all in the ground half time, and we'd had a couple of drinks, and my mate, Paul Kahn, he'd had a few drinks as well, to be honest. And he just turned around to us and said, support and believe. And we were just going, we were all singing "You Never Walk Alone" and that, and you're just trying to limit the damage. Come on, we all, there's just no way in the world anyone thought that we were going to come back, because that was like a masterclass the first half. They were a magnificent football team. We had Jimmy Triori, as much as I love him, and Paul said support and believe. So. he's standing there with his circus fez on, saying support and believe, and you're just looking at him going, yeah, how many cans have you had? But anyway, there lies the sale, support and believe. So when you see the banner on the cop, support and believe, I'm sure you've seen it. That's our banner, and we've done that with Paul because of Paul, and that sums up what a Liverpool fan is about. Even in the depths, it was support and believe, and we did, and we did after this pep talk, we thought, yeah, and then obviously, Gerrard scores, and we go on to that. So that was a magnificent game. I've seen many great games at Anfield, but I went to Barcelona last season, and obviously Messi gets that free kick. It was one of the greatest goals I've ever seen in my life. He'd had a cracking trip. And Liverpool played great that night. I went to Bayern Munich, and that was just magnificent. Mm-hmm. But so we'd had a nice journey in Europe, going with my friends and that. And I come back from a Barcelona game, and I was conscious of the fact that Messi had scored that goal. But we watched, with Maradona, arguably the greatest footballer that's ever lived. And I've watched Messi a couple of times. And my two sons, who were 17 and 14 at the time, I thought, they've got to see this man. Because it's always something you can tell your grandkids, I've seen Messi. So the semi-final, even though I had an inkling we could do something, but obviously I was just stacked against it. But we were such a great team. And we'd always have a chance. I give the tickets to my sons, and I'd done the food bank and went to the pub to watch the game, the church on Oldfield Road next to the ground. So my two sons watched the Barcelona game unfold. I'm in the pub, and I'm sure if you have other people on here, they say that's the greatest game they've ever seen, ever, and it was the greatest game to watch as well. But and my son's 17, like many 17. He doesn't display any emotion, and he come in after the game, comes to the pub after the game, and threw his arms around me. So it's quite, it showed you how effective that game was. So yeah. And you know what? I'm absolutely delighted that I give them the tickets and they seen that game, because they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. And it was a great moment. But they seen Messi as well. But they seen Liverpool outdo Messi. They seen Andy Robinson take Messi apart. And they seen Divock Origi out Messi. So that'll live long in the memory. So yeah, as I say, look, I've been an absolute honour and privilege to watch Liverpool Football Club, just as much for the people you meet. And I've got some of my greatest friends are Liverpool fans, Steve Mono and, from the spirit of Shankly, who've travelled and give everything, for Liverpool and travelled home and away every game. And there's so many brilliant Liverpool fans who I've met, and it's been a pleasure to meet. So it's given me, as I say, it's as I said at the start, it's been a huge part of my life, an integral part of my life. It learned a lot of what I am, shaped a lot of what I am, and it's been an absolute privilege. And now, obviously, with the food bank, you get the opportunity to speak to some of the players, and Henderson's fantastic. Yeah, what a person. You've got, at the club, you've got people like Tony Barrett now, and as I mentioned, so Liverpool's in good hands with regards, the people there who actually care and care about the club and understand what it means to the community, because Liverpool was often seen as just like something distant from the community. It used to be locked up. It'd be open on a match day and then it'll shut, and it was just like walls around it. And they didn't reach out to the community. It wasn't seen as something loved, funny enough, within the Anfield area, and they've worked hard to change that. And obviously, it's a huge resource. What a resource it is. So that mindset's changed. So I think Liverpool have been on a journey as much as the football fans have.
What is your assessment coming into this year? Obviously, we're in a different situation. No fans in the stadiums, the compressed schedule. It seems like somebody's being injured every week. Not just for Liverpool, but for all the teams that are, they're suffering from injuries. What is your assessment moving forward from here? And do you still see that at the end of the day, Liverpool will come out victorious and defend this title?
Well, certainly going to defend it, aren't we? And you're not going to not defend it with people like Klopp, Milner, and Henderson, and Robertson and unbelievable professionals, Trent, and, you can go through them all. They've all got their own pride to play for as well. But yeah, look, football's like that, isn't it? Van Dijk had no injuries. Absolute star was one of the greatest, if not the greatest centre half I've ever seen. And he was just motoring through games. Now, football's like that, isn't it? It changes, so you can't mourn. You've got to adapt, and people have got to step up to the plate. And Phillips has been magnificent. Gomez now has got the opportunity to shine. I love Gomez, but obviously, whoever you are, you're playing in Van Dijk's shadow. Right. So all them players are great players in their own rights. So they'll have to step up to the plate. And that young lad's done a magnificent job, but Gomez. But Phillips have been usually impressed by. Obviously, Fabinho, what a wonderful player. I thought he was magnificent in the derby, and then he drops into centre half. He's magnificent at centre half. So he's got an hamstring injury. But, that's football, so you don't moan about it. Klopp won't, will he? He'll have to find solutions. There's some great players in the squad. But unfortunately, it happens, and I think having Alisson back last week was massive. Greatest respect to the replacement goalies. To just not a patch on him. He's one of the best I've seen. And, I think if you've got your goalkeeper, I think to lose Van Dijk and Alisson makes it extremely difficult. No defence in the world and no team in the world would not suffer from that. So with Virgil, I think people have just got to step up to the plate, because I'm a centre half. I'm still playing a 48, and I could only dream about playing next to Virgil van Dijk. You'd just get your slippers out, wouldn't you? So now people have got it's just obviously the tactics may have to adjust slightly. We have to do different things, but we've still got the greatest front three in the world. In my opinion, as a collective. Thiago's come in, and what we've seen of him, he just looks absolutely world class, doesn't he? We've got some world class footballers, many in that team. So we can't just lick our wounds and say, "Oh, the league's gone because we haven't got Van Dijk." Well, no, that lad, as I say, Phillips might come roaring out of the shadows and become an absolute world beater. So, but who's better than Klopp to do that? No one.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think, in my opinion, Klopp actually enjoys this type of scenario where he can manipulate the lineup and formations and tactics, and because for a long time, our team really picked itself. The first 11 really, there's very few changes that he would need to make. So I think deep down, he's enjoying breaking down film and looking at tendencies and switching things around. And I think through this, you're really, like you had mentioned, you're going to find the strengths of Gomez and Phillips and Reece Williams and those type of players to really forge ahead. And, and the team will be even stronger by the time Van Dijk comes back.
Yeah. And Reece Williams was speaking. I've just been beating about Phillips now. He's been a breath of fresh air. So, but and as I say, I'm sure Klopp would. No one in the right mind would want to lose Van Dijk. But as I said, that's football, isn't it? You've got to adapt, and you can't build an entire edifice on one player, because then player can go at any time. So it's got to be a collective, and he's built a collective there. So you look at Mascherano when he come at Liverpool. You wouldn't have thought for 1 minute he'd be a centre half. No. He goes to Barcelona and he invents himself as a centre half. So you're not telling me Jordan Henderson couldn't do that like Fabinho has, or could Andy Robinson slip into the middle? He's not no one's as big as imposing as Van Dijk. But you'd have to, you've got to change. So I've got absolute faith in Klopp, the management team. They haven't put a foot wrong. They've improved players, and we just have to give it our best shot. And that's all you can do. We've done well. Since the derby, we've, since the Aston Villa debacle, which Van Dijk played in.
Right, yes.
Let's not forget that. And that was collectively just one of them games, wasn't it? So, we're still, there's no standout team. City and, City are suffering. You look at Chelsea, they've got, everyone's in it. It's a really wide open league. I think if he'd had Van Dijk, if he'd had a full team this year, well, I think we'd have run away with it, to be honest, because we would have been a standout team. But, from adversity, we get another one. We get another title. Happy days.
Well, we won the title without Thiago, without Jota. So, we've just added to it. So, just like Klopp says, he's made a lot of Liverpool fans, believers again. But yeah, I mean, Van Dijk's just one player. Yeah, he's colossal for us, but we're not a one-man team anymore, like we used to be. So, yeah, I have every positive thinking that we're going to do really well. Obviously, once we get to Crimbo, to see where we're at, like you just have to laugh, sometimes at the Evertonian fans, after winning four or five matches, they're going to win the league and then brought back down to earth. But same with we're seeing results that you probably would never have seen last season. Leicester beating Man City, and then West Ham beating Leicester. It's mad. Yeah, it's just mad.
Yeah. Well, it's not having fans, is it? There's no advantage in it at your home or away games. It's they are like training games, so they're just on the pitch, aren't they? In an empty stadium, so you haven't got any advantage. But yeah, Everton done really well. Just got leaps and bounds. We've got some really good players in, and it's all about players, isn't it? It's all about players, and Thiago and Jota look like great improvements to the team. So yeah, it's wide open, and Klopp and all that, and hopefully Reece Jones or Phillips grabs that spot next to Reece Williams, grabs that spot, and we just galvanise. Obviously, we got Matip, I love Matip, but he's injury prone, isn't he?
Yeah, made of glass.
Yeah. You mentioned. I'm sorry.
Can I? Is this getting recorded? Is it?
Yeah.
Can I just run the toilet?
Yeah, do what you want. You're the MP. You get to do what you want.
Just as long as we can't hear you.
Hey, while he's on the loo, I want to give a couple shout outs. Let's shout out to OLFC Japan for winning the fan of the decade from Liverpool.
Absolutely amazing.
What a great accomplishment. Obviously they've been on our show. And also let's our other guest from Las Vegas, Stacy, she helped put together that video, the James Milner video, that they also won an award from Liverpool as
Viva James Milner.
That's right. Boring James Milner. Yeah, so everybody, we'll link that to our website as well. So maybe we can make that video go viral. They did such a great job. They won the most creative award as part of the Liverpool Foundation's This Means More campaign. So we just want to, give credit to where it's due, that we have so many great fans around the world and they're doing great things, and supporting the food banks. So keep supporting your local food banks, everyone, and supporting the other charities that you're doing, because it is recognized at the club level, all the efforts that all the supporters clubs and all the fans are doing, in their respective regions. So just wanted to shout out to everyone.
Yeah, and also if you're looking for something to read, one of our friends, John Pearman, who does Red All Over the Land fanzine, please check him out. It's an amazing fanzine, so you can check that out at redallovertheland.com. And Ian is back.
Yeah.
Back from his trip.
Welcome back.
You look a lot happier now.
I feel a lot happier now. Yeah. Too many half-time cups.
Yeah. You mentioned Ian before you left that it's all about the players, right? And one of the arguments that I've made recently, when Van Dijk got injured, people are saying, "Well, look what happened with City last year with Laporte." I said, we have a better team. We have, they brought Fabinho back to their defense, but they already had a bad defense. We have a good defense. We have a top-notch keeper in Alisson. So I think our team is better equipped to handle this type of adversity than any other team in the league. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'd go along with that. Obviously, I think selling Lovren and then not bringing another centre half in, maybe Klopp, even someone of a Lovren type level. Maybe we can look back and say, but maybe, as I say, he's got faith in the two youngsters we've already mentioned to step up. And always got so. But you're talking about two of the greatest fullbacks in the history of Liverpool football club and the game, and the game at Trent had midweek.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that ball that he played on the half volley.
Mm-hmm.
The lads have air talent. He's one of the best in the world, and say Andy Roberts and Gomez was playing as good as Van Dijk last season before he got his injuries. He was outstanding. So yeah. You've just got to get over it, haven't you? You've just got to get past that. You've lost that. You've lost that. We've all played footy. Someone gets injured. Someone's got to come in, do a job, and then obviously the tactic side of it takes over. And I think with Henderson and Ronaldo and people like that and Milner, they'll keep them motivated on the pitch, and I think they'll know what to do. They play for the best club in the world, so they're not duffers, are they? So I've got every faith in them coming through. But yeah. Let's not get away from it. It's a loss. It's also a loss in the opposing area as well, because Van Dijk was great in the opposing area. But as I say, you've got to get on with it. He's not going to be in out till the end of the season, potentially. So, you've just got to put him out your mind, and hopefully he'll be back for next season when we're defending the league for the third time and another European Cup.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if he's back for this season. The way Klopp's saying, like, he heals. Very quickly. I mean, it'd be amazing, but if not, if we're still up there and somebody comes along in January, a centre half, then we can go in for it. So
exactly,
I just get a bit tired. I've seen some keyboard warriors, obviously on the internet, just throwing in the towel already. Big Virg, like we said, is a big loss. But again, like, this team is too good just for... I mean, right now we have 8 players out injured and we're still winning.
Yeah.
That tells you something about this team, tells you something about, Klopp and Pep. That they just don't give up,
No.
So, yeah, no. I can't wait to lift the trophy again. And then... hopefully this pandemic sods off, and then me and Steve can get on a plane and
come over.
Because we were coming over, in May for the big trophy lift, and then obviously the pandemic happens. I just want to say I loved how kitted out. Put a little thing yesterday. He said they can't wait for the pandemic to be over so we can go back to arguing about football across the table. I think that's brilliant. Get back to what football's all about.
Yeah, we miss it. You miss seeing, as I said, going in the game, and we do the food bank before the game, but after the game we always get together and you'll have a crack. And certainly going down Westminster, it's lovely to come back to your mates who you've grown up with, and you give you the level of stick what they always give you, and it's what you need. So yeah, I've missed that on a personal level, just missing that release valve, and obviously getting people's opinions of what you're doing. No one in the COP is backward and coming forward about if we've done something in Parliament which you don't agree with. So it's a good barometer of how you're doing, because they don't hold back, and which you shouldn't do, and that's what you're there to do. So on the personal level, I've missed that, massively. But you just miss that family side of it, and obviously yourselves when you're watching the game over there, and you can see the COP and all its glory, and the crowd and the atmosphere. It takes it into a different level as a spectator. Sport, doesn't it? And as you said before, football without fans is nothing. That's what we've always said, and my God, it's been proven, hasn't it, that it truly isn't a spectacle, And I've watched some of these games, and I'd rather go over the field and watch the kids' football. I'd enjoy it more than what I'm watching without the fans at the moment. So yeah, it's but as you said, there'll be light at the end of the tunnel. We'll come through this. The world will come through it, and our communities will come through it, hopefully into a better place. And then obviously we'll appreciate football, because you won't have this, but we're going you go every week, and then sometimes, and every football fan who probably is lucky enough to live within the locality of the team they support, you can be not saying it becomes a chore because you've got everything around it, but you become a bit blasé about it. that the game's on, you know, and I think being a fan of many years, I mean, this is just my take. Others may disagree on that, but sometimes you don't appreciate it until it's not there, do you? And I think what it's done, and I spoke to a few people about this, and they've all said pretty much the same as well, that you forget how much it means to you, and obviously when it's taken away from you, and then you're having a nice understanding of you know, what I should appreciate it a bit more when it's here. So I think the first game back at Anfield would be something to behold once we get a full stadium and get full people in. I don't know about what they're going to do. Obviously, you can get like 11,000 in and things like that. It'll be a bit strange. I don't know if I'd want to do that, to be honest. I think I might have to wait till I can go back with everyone. But we'll see. So, yeah, we'll get there. You'll get there. Like the team will get there, and you know, the sport will get there. But it's not just football. You know, it's every sport suffering at the moment. And you know, it doesn't matter if you're a football fan, basketball fan, American football fan. It's an intrinsic part of your life, but also they're an intrinsic part of the community. And we need to ensure that sports, clubs, whatever you do, you know, local grassroots, you know, elite level, they all stay alive, because it means so much to us on the mental health side, but also as a party community and what they bring to it. So, you know, we've got to, you know, governments have got to ensure that sports still standing once we get through this.
I wanted to ask you a question. How much stick did you get from your colleagues in Parliament when we lost the league by 1 point? And did you get any retribution last year after we won?
Well, lucky enough, I wasn't in Parliament then.
Right.
So they've only ever seen the victorious side of me, which is nice. But you know, obviously when we lost the league, yeah, I mean that was a great season, and we played one of the greatest teams in Premier League history, in City, and you know, we give one of the greatest performances we've ever gave. So that was I think that was a joy to actually be a part of. But no, obviously winning the European Cup eases your pain considerably, doesn't it? What we felt, but you know, that was a momentous battle, and you know, it was, you know, you've always got to appreciate great football, haven't you? You know, and that's what Liverpool fans have always done. A football fan should always do. And I spoke about Messi before. I wanted to ensure, even if he got knocked out, he knocks out the European Cup, that you've actually seen him. You know, I was lucky enough to see Maradona. So, you know, it's something I'll always be able to tell my grandkids when I watch him. And I watched the Maradona show with me, the film with my sons. And, you know, for me, he's still the greatest that ever lived and everything that he's done. So, you know, but I wanted them because they love Messi. And I do as well, to be honest. But they've actually seen him now in the flesh. So I think it's important to just think about all your sporting heroes that you want to go and watch. And you know, and as sport people that love football, you know, these people, it's been a joy to watch. And we can all go down, you know, a list of some. I mean, I love watching Thierry Henry. You know, even though he turned us over many, many times. Patrick Vieira. I look at Roy Keane. Paul Scholes was one of my favourite ever footballers. Giggs in his pomp. I still hark back to Dwight York and Andy Cole being probably the best two. Double active scene together. No Shearer. No, we can talk about right back, can't we? You know, not non-Liverpool football players who it's been a pleasure to watch. So it's just a burning love of football, I suppose, that you appreciate other players. And Liverpool fans are renowned for that, and you've got that's something that should always be in our DNA.
Yeah, Daz and I, we can't wait to travel opens back up and come back to Liverpool and invite and have a big old party with all our guests that we've had on our podcast, you know.
And come to Foodbank.
Yeah, yes, right. So you know, as we wind down, Ian, we just want to say thank you for taking time out today. I know this would probably be the least stressful part of your week, you know, with all the issues that are going on, you know, politically there in Liverpool. So we do appreciate you sharing your stories with us, sharing your love of Liverpool and just also the current situation there politically. So, you know, hopefully that, you know, we'll get over there soon and we get to have a pint together.
I look forward to seeing the Perrys. No, it's been a pleasure, to be honest, because as you say, there's lots going on. So sometimes just an hour away talking about football is a real bonus. And obviously we got the game tonight, so I'm looking forward to watching them tonight as well.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Ian. Really do appreciate it, and I'm glad, you know, we finally got you on from going back and forth on Twitter.
No. It's that time now. But you've got out of bed, and well done to you. But your days are old now. You just got to stay awake with the matchsticks in your eyes for the match tonight. But no, it's been a pleasure. And look, all the great work you're doing, keep publicising the Reds, but also equally important, what the fans are doing, both certainly Liverpool and Everton over here. I think it's important in America that we get that message across of solidarity and what we're doing over here, and what we're doing collectively, because that's key. So for the 90 minutes on the football pitch, we can cuss at each other and we can give each other stick, but when we come off it, we're all part of the same community, and that's something we always like to publicise and push. And yeah, but honestly, you've done me a bigger favour today than I've done you, believe me. Just spending an hour reminiscing and talking about Liverpool. So it's been an absolute joy, and happy to come on any time and board the backsides off you and your American listeners.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll get you back off after the elections.
Hopefully in a week or two we'll all be a lot happier. But Ian, where can the listeners find out more about the food banks?
Well, just as you say, like yourself, just go on Twitter. Go onto Twitter, just put in fan supporting food banks, and then what I'd ask you to do is the listeners to follow us and just retweet what some of the things that we're putting out. That's a brilliant help, and certainly the international stuff that goes out. And I think it just builds up this community feel of solidarity. And we are okay. We've got an ocean between us, but we haven't. We can connect quite easily now, can't we? And I think it's important, and I think that's been a big part of fan supporting food banks, so people can feel part of it, and they can help their own communities by being part of it. So if anyone wants to get involved in fan supporting food banks, me and Dave, we're always delighted to talk about it, to speak about it, and to promote it. So as I say, we're always available. So if anyone wants to do anything throughout America, just let us know.
I'm actually talking to Dave at the moment as well to bring him on, and Speedo Mick. So,
Speedo Mick sound, yeah.
So
thing is though, if you get Dave on, you'll have to do a 5-hour special because you won't get an hour out of him. That'll be his first answer. So, he's great. They're great people. Both are great people.
Yeah, but Daz is going to wear a Speedo when we get Speedo Mix, so he'll even out.
I'd advocate you, Dave, Mick, and Daz all wearing Speedos. Then let's not leave anyone out.
I'm starting to feel sick.
Speedo Mick's just a one-off. He's a character, all right, and the work he's done phenomenal. And it's great because it's like a little family where we'll see at the games and we all know each other and we're all helping each other, pinging off each other. There's many little organisations throughout Liverpool at the moment that are all working together. You mentioned Kitter Out, Paul from Kitter Out, and Michelle, two brilliant people. And it is like a little, from football has come a lot of mutual aid work and people helping out in the communities, and it's been brilliant to watch. And it's and long may that continue, because football can do so much good for society. It's not just about 90 minutes on the pitch; it's what people collectively can do together. And as I say, it's a message we'll always talk about. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure, boys.
Yeah, that's
pleasure for us too.
That's one thing we try and do with the podcast. It's basically, it is a Liverpool, football club podcast, but it's also about Liverpool community and the people. So, we don't mind a couple of Evertonians coming on, once a year, but that's it. No more.
No.
That's enough too.
Well, you got Robbie as well, who works with us. He was one of the co-founders, and he's a bundle of laughs. But he's one of the most bitter Evertonians I know. So you follow his Twitter feed when he was doing well. It was just magnificent to watch. The league's ours and all that. He hasn't been so vocal lately, but let's see what happens today. But no, it's, as I say, 90 minutes. Brilliant. And then obviously once we come off the pitch, and there's bigger issues. As much as we all love football, we're talking about putting meals on people's tables and keep people fed and watered, and that's what we're focusing on in Liverpool at the moment and across the country. So yeah, great to speak to you, as I say. So you two stay safe. Fingers crossed. Biden wins, and then we can come back and have a conversation about politics and what and where we're going to be in moving forward.
Nice one. Appreciate it, Ian.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra, mate.
Thank you, Ian.